Look, we're stuck in the system, we can't get out. It's time for a change, stop running your mouth. I'm looking for words, but I can't get it out. Look for the light, but the sun blotted out.
Hold on, let me hop on the beat. Cause social injustice and prisoner mindset is something we gotta defeat. We idle these hoes and wear all these clothes with shoes that can't be creased. Steady looking for substance and change, but we searching all up in these streets.
Got a stain on my shirt that I can't get out. My people on high like the top of the mount. We thirsting for truth, but there's no spout. Look for a savior, but no one around.
But no one's around, but where do they look? It ain't in the church, it ain't in the book. We can't get a job, so we rather crook. They got us in chains, a fish on a hook.
Look, harvesting our bodies, harvesting our organs. Got them real big mad, cause they culture boring. Pimping the poor, Jim Crow at the door. Selling our souls, our daughters a whore. I wanna give in, can't take it no more. Don't wanna believe our people are more.
We swept our cup when we look at decline. We got a new bottle, it's...
Hello. Welcome to another Macam Make a Culture Move podcast. Where here we cover everything from intense social topics to funny social trends. We are your hosts, Mike Jonathan.
Tabitha over here.
G.
And as always, we have an amazing podcast for you all today. But before we get started, if we can have our brief disclaimer.
All right. So I'm trying to get used to this weird lineup. But yes. So here we go. As a disclaimer, right? All the opinions and stuff that are expressed at the Make a Culture Move podcast do not reflect nothing as a whole. We cover a lot of controversial stuff and just don't from that. It represents what we're talking about. I don't know.
100%.
But yeah.
All right, with that being said, we'll go ahead and kick it off today. So today, before we jump into our discussion, I will be going first for you all today. So as y'all know, I like to bring y'all, Black news. Hello, Gadiel. Thank you for joining us. So just getting into some Black news. So if y'all aren't familiar with this website already, it's theblacknews.com.
Oh, dude. Okay.
And just jumping into, I have a few brief articles for you all. So the first one is Chris. If we could just pull that up.
I didn't get the email, so I'm looking for it. But if you could just talk about it and just let us know.
Yeah. All right. So while we're doing that, so Chris Paul signed up with the HBCU. And then basically he set up a system where the people that are attending these HBCUs have like a direct line and like the best path to join the NBA or things like that. So, I mean, I could share my screen too.
I think that that's tough, honestly. I think that, we talk a lot about how we need that example and
Exactly.
And to see people of color actually doing that, because a lot of times I feel like there's a lot of, we don't actually do the work, and that's the sad part. A lot of times it's because a lack of a work ethic that we don't get, we don't get to hear the stories that we need to hear. So I got it.
Absolutely.
I'm about to pull it up right now. Yeah. Excuse me for my technical difficulties because I didn't even see this. So this is like my fault. But yeah.
Hey, it's all gravy. But definitely along the lines of what you were saying. You feel me? Oh, and it's a Black-owned sports agency. So the people, HBCUs, they aren't necessarily like recognized as like the top as far as basketball goes. You feel me? You more got like the Dukes and the Villanovas and that type of scene. But it's good. I've seen more athletes joining HBCUs for that reason. You feel me? They know that they're mostly the main attraction, like the number one pick. So they're going to these HBCUs to give it more recognition. And what Chris Paul is doing is basically rewarding those people for choosing the HBCUs over like those top prospect colleges. Y'all feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
I feel
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing that's trippy to me is a lot of times what happens is, Black men are drafted in because of our athletic abilities, but it's never I don't know. I never really heard of anybody being drafted from HBCU. Not that I know of.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times
Hmm.
people go to those top tier colleges because they feel like, their chances of making it into the pros is like there's a greater likelihood for that to happen.
Exactly. But just going into this first paragraph, so HBCU Con, a week-long basketball and academic experience for elite players from historically black colleges and universities, will be offering instruction embedded with skill development from former and current NBA professionals and training for male and female HBCU student athletes aspiring to play professionally. So again, he's just providing and using his platform to basically better his people. So just salute to Chris Paul, definitely one of my favorite point guards. Good to see him doing this for his people and recognizing the need.
I think it's
So
dope. I think it's important because, like, the HBCUs don't get even like recognition like PWIs do. So it's like their colleges too. They fight just as hard for their athletics and their academics as just like PWIs, even harder because they are HBCUs. So it's just dope getting that recognition out for the HBCUs, for the students who are choosing the HBCUs. It's important to just keep pushing that Black power. Salute
absolutely.
to Chris Paul.
I definitely feel everything you're saying. Again, I just kind of, I again want to stress the point of why people do choose, predominantly white institutions. It's because they get the coverage or the promotion, so to speak, that
Exactly.
HBCUs, historically black universities or institutions, don't get. So it's kind of like, people want to get that exposure, so to speak. They want to be put out there, and so that's why a lot of times, black, people that are, mainly like a number one pick or somebody who colleges go to high schools to get to play for their team. They normally pick those white institutions because they want those hats that they wear, that have that recognition, and they want the I guess the media coverage, because a lot of times, even women's basketball doesn't really get the coverage that that other sports do. But it's mainly because those institutions that those women are a part of aren't like, those institutions that get exposure. So yeah.
And it's like, when I was in high school, like a senior, and I was telling everybody like I'm going to a HBCU, like there's no other option. Like I don't even want to go to a PWI. The main question I got from almost everybody was, "What's a HBCU?" And it's just so crazy to me because like people,
And it be people of color too.
yeah, be people of color, like on the West Coast or the mountain area or whatever, there aren't any HBCUs, so they're not talked about, they're not stressed, and so black people and people in general don't know what HBCUs are, and that's a problem. That's a problem because it's so much culture is wrapped up in the educational institution of an HBCU. So
See, and that's the thing. Like, I wish I would have had a little bit, because I remember I said this, like, at my first year at the University of Colorado, Denver, I was like, I am one of the only black people in my classes. And not only that, I'm the only girl, like a black girl in the class. So I feel like a minority of a minority. Like,
and you're standing out. You're standing out. So
exactly. And when I told a black man, like somebody that I feel like would understand me, that I want to go to a HBCU so I could see more people that look like me and like I could relate to people, he said, "You don't seem like the type that would be at an HBCU." I said, "I don't seem like the type that would be at an HBCU. Like, what kind of, like, what?" Like, I was discouraged by another.
yeah, and that's crazy. And like my experience at an HBCU,
I've heard.
yeah, it was something beautiful about being around so many people who look like me on the same goal and mission as me of education and getting money, you know, like my teachers, my professors, the president of the school, everybody was black. Everybody was black. And it was
And the
insane.
culture
I
is
had
so much
one
different.
white teacher. I had one white teacher and everybody else was black, and it was so different. And I felt like I was learning on a different scale. I was learning on a more comfortable scale. The people around me in days where I felt like, nah, I don't even feel like going to class. It's like, nah, sis, you going to class because that's what you're here for. Like, so it was just that motivation, how everybody was always pushing you and everybody's on the same page. It was dope. I loved that. I mean, of course, there was your little scraps and squabbles every now and then, but 97% of the time everybody's on the same page. Like, you go to the functions and events and it's popping, it's lit, it's fun, it's so much going on, like, yeah. And that's why I just encourage, like, I went on an HBCU tour before I, decided where I was gonna go for college, and I encourage everybody to, try to get into something like that. Go visit the colleges, experience what that life is like before, and experience both. Go visit PWIs, visit HBCUs, visit both.
See,
and then see the difference for yourself.
See, and I didn't even go to both. I was just like, I want to stay in Colorado. Yay.
Yeah,
I stayed here. Well, Mark, you got anything to say on that? Because I know you're talking about the culture.
I mean, my sister went to Bethune-Cookman in Daytona Beach, Florida, and like I definitely like, and I'm originally from Orlando, so I would like go to some of her games.
See?
Look, Mark, I've been there.
Oh man, I don't. I wish I could say I understood, but I don't.
But as I was saying, I'm sorry, y'all. But like I would go to like some of their football games, and then you would hear the band just like turn their.
The band! Oh my god, the band! She wants to say hi.
But I definitely agree. I went to a high school that was predominantly black in Alabama, you know what I'm saying? And so to get that experience, like, cause I'm telling y'all, I am telling you guys, when I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, there's like nothing but really like Hispanics and white people, right? So when I moved to the South into like my first high school, like Greenville High School in Greenville, Alabama, super small town, but the band was on point. We had majorettes, we had a color guard, we had like a marching band. Like I have never seen like, I've never really.
That was a culture shock for me. That experiencing that for the first time, that was a culture shock for me because I've never experienced anything like that in Colorado. Never. And it's just so, like, the first football game, like everyone tailgated and how just lit. I mean, like,
even the food,
not just students, but families come down. It's black families.
Exactly.
They selling their barbecue and whatever they sell, and I mean, it's just dope, and the vibe is so amazing. And then the band, like, screw the football game, okay? I mean, yeah, the football game is gonna be cool, but the band, the halftime show for the band, that's what's lit. That's what I feel like every black person has to experience in life.
For like that Drumline movie, it's exactly like that. Like literally the whole
on a high
whole Nick Cannon.
But on a college level.
On me, it's very lit. I recommend definitely.
And a high school level, so from like Alabama, they start in high school and get scholarships to go to HBCU. We don't even think about the music scholarships in Colorado because it's not a priority. We don't prioritize our instruments and our music background. But in the South, they do. They play instruments in middle school and high school and elementary school and end up getting scholarships, paying for their way through school because of the instrument that they play. And they sometimes play 2, 3, 4, 5.
Exactly.
And that's the thing.
Education.
You said hygiene. Okay. All right. But y'all, let me tell you. I lived in Alabama for like 5 years, 6 years. And I'm telling you guys, like a lot of people in the South, like when they're whether they're singing or like they play an instrument or they're in sports,
Dance.
they always go to like because Alabama it doesn't have like a state team. You know what I'm saying? Like Colorado has the Broncos and the Nuggets and stuff like that. Alabama does not have that. So because of that, a lot of emphasis is on the and pressure is on the kids to go to college. And a lot of times, a lot of the even Alabama State University, you know, that was
Yes.
like in the past like a predominantly white institution because of segregation and everything. And Auburn is actually the school that was like the black school. But in living in Alabama, like the first question people ask you are Auburn or Alabama. But I said all that to say that people really strive and thrive in the arts that they are naturally talented in. I know people that played in the marching band that were also in the choir that could really sing, and now like they're in a university for singing, and like they're excelling in that route and trying to go the educational route as far as like singing and stuff like that. So I definitely encourage. Right, it's okay. I definitely encourage Black students and Black people in general is to see what's out there, because when you don't see what's out there, you end up in a weird situation where you don't know what's out there. Because I wish I would have went to a HBCU, but that's not what I did.
See, and dear Black parents, your kids, not all your kids are athletes. Not all of our kids are athletes. It's like, I don't know why Black parents feel like it's a necessity to force their children to be an athlete. But if your child is not an athlete, notice that young. Don't force them to be an athlete if they're not an athlete. If they're just not athletic, don't force them to do that. Let them explore their options and figure it out. There's so many other things that they can be doing to stay busy as a child. Sports is not the only option. Sports is not the only option to keep children out of trouble at a young age. There's so many other things that they can be doing.
I feel that.
100%. Well, we can go ahead and segue into the next one. So I wanted to bring this to you guys. This is again on blacknews.com. And the title was Meet the Woman Whose Podcast Builds Bridges, Not Walls, Between Black People Worldwide. You feel me? So we all, we talk a lot about, getting connected with through our people, using our businesses that kind of have the same goal, or even if they don't, just connecting within so that it expands, you feel me, and has that big network and start networking with each other, because us together, we can only do great things. But just jumping into this article, there's power in numbers, that's a fact. Especially if we all on the same goal.
Exactly.
I don't know. Again, I'm glad you made that point, because if we're not on the same page and we have a common understanding, it will not work out at all.
True.
We can't be against each other. We have to be for each other. It's okay to disagree, but we still have to be together.
Yeah.
For real, because other people, they disagree, but at the end of the day, they're going to be together.
Exactly.
I see it all the time.
Exactly. But let's get into it. This Black lady with her beautiful black, brown, dark brown.
Natural, too.
I love it.
And a lovely smile. So, Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out, GA. All right, launched in the midst of a global pandemic and high tensions of division, the first ever Black cultural unity podcast called Bridge to You unites Black people worldwide, available on Apple products. Bridge to You creates a safe space to have honest and constructive conversation. Let me repeat that. Have honest and constructive conversations on a number of oftentimes polarizing topics within global Black community. So, yeah, and I did want to. So the host, executive communications coach and speaker, Monique Russell, asks guests questions out of curiosity and not judgment, because she believes that offering guests a space to share their experiences or explain their perspective is the first step in understanding each other. Bridge to You uses curiosity and understanding as tools to build a bridge, not a wall, between each other and Black unity. That's all I'll be reading from that. So yes, like we saying, you feel me? She understands that like the first steps in all this is one, first understanding each other. We all are entitled to our perspectives and opinions, but we had a virtual artist storytelling guest not too long ago that said, find your voice, find your voice, but
Find
know
your
your
voice and
tone.
know your tone.
You
Oh,
feel me? That was one of the most realest things I've ever heard, because it at the surface is just words, but in every scenario, you're entitled to your voice and your opinion, but how you say things is the biggest piece of a lot of different arguments, different discussions, and all that. So really, just like knowing, how to react, what to say in those certain type of situations, and the fact that she's given her podcast and her guests on her podcast the ability to go ahead and share their perspectives and understandings, and then constructively build upon that, is amazing to me. How you feel, Tab?
So, people be saying that, globalization, I'm not trying to throw out big words out there, y'all, but they'd be like, that's how it's going to unite a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Because we're scattered all across the world. People of color are everywhere. No matter where you go, there is a person of color that's there. So I think that the fact that building those bridges to unite people is a beautiful thing. Again, though, if we're not all all with one understanding, then I don't, it's detrimental to us, because a lot of times what happens is, because you look at movements in the past, I think that our past is always, you have to know where you've been to know where you're going. We look at people in the past, the people that we come from, or examples that were set for us in the past as that, path to see where we're going to go. What happened in between Martin Luther King and Malcolm X is always the example that I always use. But they were so divided on just key things that it got to the point where they were on one understanding. They had one understanding, and the government seen that, and they had to literally kill people, but like kill that movement super fast, because we were getting one understanding, seeing things the same way, seeing that the only way that we're gonna progress is that if we really are on one accord. So that's why I want to say, like, just but opening that platform to have that discussion, I think that's tight. That's cool that you're doing that.
and I just want that she said. Also, she said, many people struggle to free themselves from the mental limitations of oppression. But if we highlight and amplify the methods of those who have managed to do it successfully, we can be more strategic and effective in transforming the world.
Exactly.
That's virtual artist storytelling again. We do that Tuesdays, Thursdays, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Just had to throw that in real quick.
Yes.
Streaming it on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all gotta tune in for those. Y'all gotta tune in for those. We getting some dope life gems from our speakers. Man.
Absolutely.
Man.
Yeah. I love that. I couldn't really say that I was ever like really a podcast person until like I started working for, Malcolm, and doing a podcast and really understanding like, the way that a podcast works. So I definitely do. So yeah.
But G, how you feel about her podcast and you feel me uniting our people?
I think it's dope, like I think it's dope. She's really pushing the movement, and I just wanna, cause like I don't think y'all heard her. She said many people struggle to free themselves from the mental limitations of oppression. But if we highlight and amplify the methods of those who have managed to do it successfully, we can be more strategic and effective in transforming the world. Like she's on a mission, she's on a mission, and it's a mission that we, all need to be on together. That's it. We just need to be on one accord, and people like us, people like her, we're stepping stools to get there, and it's just, getting everybody on one accord and on the same page and trying to do it too, making sure that we do transform the world so that it's better for us. So we are more comfortable living in America.
Exactly. Yes, but if we don't have anything else on that topic, I think that this would be a good transitional point, because I thought I was going to talk about restorative justice, because I was on blacknews.com, and I was looking at this man that was like, he was an inmate, but he's looking on how to restore the community. And I just wanted to touch on that real quick, and then we could touch on the Trey Songz thing with TMZ. No? Okay.
We can if we have time after the discussion.
Okay. So I was looking at what exactly is restorative justice, because honestly, I didn't really know what that was. And you know, a lot of times we talk about the school to prison pipeline, we talk about mass incarceration and things like that, but we don't really know exactly what restorative justice is. I originally thought that restorative justice just meant like, okay, we're restoring those people that went into prison, and then that's just basically it. They're getting their justice by being restored. You know what I'm saying? Because you go into prison, but there's really no restoring what's happened to you while you were locked up, whether it was justly or unjustly, whether you did the crime or you didn't do the crime. You know what I'm saying? So I found just some interesting information that's just I'm gonna use for use to kind of as a premise for what exactly we're talking about, to define what restorative justice actually is. So I'm going to just go ahead and dig into this and what restorative justice is, starting here. A more formal definition is this: restorative justice is a theory of justice that emphasizes repairing the harm caused by criminal behavior. It is best accomplished through cooperative process that allows all willing stakeholders to meet, although other approaches are available when it is impossible. This can lead to transformation of people, relationships, and communities. And then they have like 3 points of what it is. The fundamental principles of restorative justice has been summarized as follows. 1, crime causes harm, and justice should be focused on repairing that harm. 2, the people most affected by crime should be able to participate in its resolution. True. 3, the responsibility of the government is to maintain order and of the community to build peace. So I just kind of I really like those points, because a lot of times we're in the street saying no justice, no peace, but at the end of the day, we don't need to be looking at the police to be those people that are going to give us the peace and the relief that we actually need. And I don't know if you guys have any ideas or if there's anything you want to expand on when it comes to restorative justice and understanding what it is.
Restorative justice only works if all parties are cooperative in it. All parties have to be cooperative. Because let me tell you, I've been having restorative justice meetings in schools since elementary, because apparently I was a bully. Some people just need tougher skin. But so I've been having restorative justice meetings in school literally since elementary school, and it only works, I'm telling you from experience, restorative justice only works if all parties are cooperative, and that's all parties. It's the parties between the people who have the conflict, it's the mediator who is mediating the conflict. Like, all parties have to be cooperative. You don't have to be in agreement, but you have to be cooperative in order to, you have to at least be willing to want the restorative justice. You have to be willing to work for it, and you have to want it. You have to want it. Nobody else can want it for you. So restorative justice only works if all parties are cooperative. I wasn't cooperative as a young kid. What is we starting to restore justice for? I said what I said. I meant what I said. And I'm not sorry for what I said. So, yeah. I was not, okay? I was not. I just had a way with words. And like I said, people need tougher skin. That's all.
Oh my God. Go ahead, Mark.
I mean, I definitely agree with, everything that was said. As far as like, the prison system and like how that goes, they're definitely, I feel like the focus should be on the rehabilitation, because that's supposed to be, the reason that they were in prison. Exactly. But if there's no, but oftentimes, you put, first time offenders, they call it a felony or whatever, into like the lion's den, which is often what prison is. It's only going to make them worse, because it teaches them survival than more so than how to live. You feel me? So
exactly. I just feel like, in jail.
Exactly, but
Because
Yeah, I
it's
feel
like,
like if it focuses more on the rehabilitation aspect,
it's worse.
then um, yeah, I mean, I support restorative justice
And like with
100%.
the prisons, like, you think of people who, you think of the crimes, right? You should not all criminals should be placed in the same prison. You shouldn't be putting violent offenders in a prison with non-violent offenders, because now those non-violent offenders have to become violent offenders in order to survive with the violent offenders, because violent offenders are going to be violent offenders. They're going to be violent. That's what they're in jail for being a violent offender. Whatever crime they did, they were violent with it. Non-violent offenders being put in the same prison as violent offenders turns them into somebody who they were not once was, because they have to survive. You have to survive in prison. It's do or die. It's you or me, and with me, I'm gonna choose me every time. And in a prison situation, that turns people into somebody who they are not.
And then they catching another charge because they have
And
that
then you're catching
mentality.
another charge. You're catching another charge, and then it's setting them up for failure, because it's like now and then there's situations where um like black men and boys who don't have families go to jail and come up missing, because you feel me, they don't have no families or nobody who's checking in on them and making sure they're straight, right? Because you could, if you have a loved one in jail, you can call up the jail and check on them. You don't have to wait for them to call you. You can call the jail and say, hey, I haven't heard from such and such, I'm trying to check on their status. You have that right to do it, and they have an obligation to tell you what is going on with said inmate. So it's like they don't do it. It's not a rehabilitation, because there's some prisons where there's nothing for them to do. There's no libraries. There's no activities. There's nothing for them to do. It's just straight solitary. And that does something to a person's brain. That doesn't rehabilitate them. It drives them crazy and insane, because now I'm only left with my thoughts. And these other prisoners in here who are left with their thoughts, and they might be violent offenders and I might be a violent offender, and now our demons are going to mix, and it's going to be a bad situation. So where's the rehabilitation in prisons like that, where there's no libraries for them to go and stimulate their minds, or they don't have a gym for them to go and work out and keep their bodies moving and stuff? Like, that's rehabilitation. They have to have something to be able to go and do to keep their mind going. You can't just your mind just can't be in isolation. It can't be.
I think that another thing that also give people a chance to better themselves while they're locked up in
Yes.
prison. Like, you went into prison with no education, so you didn't really know what you were doing when you did what you did, so to speak. So why not? Because I know in some prisons they have GED programs, they have college programs where people could, get a trade or something like that. So there's a part of this that I did want to read real quick. And it says restorative justice views crimes as more than just breaking the law. It also harms people, relationships, and the community. A lot of times people forget about the harm and stuff that has been caused to the community, and not just, the people that were, one, involved in the crime, but two, the people that are affected by the crime, whether it be the family of the offender or people that were personally
Family of the victim.
affected by that crime.
Yeah.
Just to add on to what y'all were already saying.
Families that's affected.
Oh yeah,
Always two families that's affected.
facts.
The victim and the offender. It's always two families that's affected, because you're,
Exactly.
especially like with cases of murder, like the murdered was taken away from their family, and the murderer is taken away from their family because they got to go to jail for it. So it's just like,
But just to add on to what y'all were saying, there's a correctional institution in Florida called Appalachia, and they basically spoke on everything that we just covered. You feel me? There's instances where they put like known opposition gang members in the same cell with each other, or like there's situations where they get
that's
a
giving them rope to hang
non-violent.
themselves with.
Exactly, they put a non-violent offender in a cell with somebody who has like multiple offenses in prison. So like they're already known to be violent and attackers of their cellmates or something like that. But they still group them together and exactly purposefully, like
Purposely.
Appalachia Correctional Institution, you can Google it now. They have multiple cases on their correctional officers, but they still run that prison even now. And I mean, like, these cases are situations that I've seen, situations with boiling water thrown on inmates, gang members allowed to be jumped in their cells because the correctional took a break or just didn't see it. Even the correctional officers are catching fades with the inmates. Like, there's no rehabilitation in this system.
And
You
it's
feel
like
me?
prison guards.
Especially in the South.
Ooh,
Especially in the South, it's
ooh,
nothing but racists running the
ooh,
prisons for one.
ooh.
Like, in the same correctional institution that I was just talking about, they literally, their entrance into the dorm is to walk through a line of the correctional officers where anything can happen to you, from kicks, punches, elbows.
Yeah,
It's
and it's
it's
like with
real
the correction
nasty.
officers, how are the inmates and prisoners supposed to be rehabilitated when they have correction officers and guards and wardens who do not want to see them succeed or prosper? They talk down to
Or
them. They're
worse.
disrespectful. They're rude. They're abusive. They want to see them die. They want to see them die to the prison system. That's
And
not
it's fun to them.
rehabilitation. If you want
It's
to
fun.
rehabilitate somebody, you give them somebody who's gonna boost their mind, who's going to give them affirmations and assure them like this may be what you have done, but we can change that around. You don't have to be that person for the rest of your life. You
But to
don't
the
you
dude
don't
that
have
shot
to
at the movie theater, like, you think about it, they gave him rehab so quick. And
yeah.
like he didn't just walk into the theater, kill 10 people, and injure another 30.
Like he
They gave
didn't
him rehab.
plan. Like he didn't plan to do it. Like he didn't tell his
Plan.
parents and his therapist that he was gonna do it.
And set up bombs at his house for when the police tried to crack their door. But he not crazy. Oh, he need rehab, right?
No,
He
they
needs,
said
he
that
needs
he's mentally
rehab.
unstable and that they say that he's mentally unstable and he needs therapy rather than
And you
saying
know
that
what? Every
rather
black
than
man that is in prison is mentally unstable because of slavery. How about that? How about
that's
that?
exactly what I was about to say. They say that white people, when they do stuff like that, like shooting up a theater or going into church and killing all these people or going to school and shooting up the school,
He
that
shot
they need
pregnant women and
that
children.
that they're mentally unstable and that they need therapy. But whenever a black person commits a crime or whenever a person that has actually been through some traumatic events here in America, they never get therapy. They never get the actual therapeutic treatment that they need because of trauma that's been inflicted on them
Deserve.
for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's why I'm saying, like, we as black people, because of the Willie Lynch letter and all this other stuff that's taken place here in the United States of America, all this stuff that's happened to us here, we lost love for one another. And, it's
Yesterday.
exactly, it's just us. It's never about us. Us as a collective people that have been harmed by the United States. It's just for the people that are the beneficiaries and the quote
Of
unquote
the United
founders
States.
of the United States, system, this repressive system, this oppressive system that's been put in place, to enslave black and brown people. That's literally what it is. The United
That's
States
not
is
it.
it's not really a state, it's like a corporation. It's a corporation that one out of all the countries literally in the globe, in the world, we're the only country that imprisons people faster than we rehabilitate.
Everything else.
Everything else. Everything else.
It's, it's,
Like
it's
it's ridiculous. It makes absolutely no sense. And but we're America the Great. Like what the
I
what?
don't know why I say we, because I need to
Yeah,
I need to
that thank
remove
you. That needs to
myself.
disband that
I'm
absolutely. But
American because
how are y'all America the Great? And this is how y'all treat your citizens. Like
I'm
I'm
not a
sorry.
citizen.
You
I'm a
yeah, I'm sorry.
citizen.
You're citizens. Yeah, I apologize
Citizen.
because
I'm a citizen. It's all
yeah.
right though. Hey, they said we're 2/3 of a person or 2/5 of a person. I'm not even 100% sure. It's been a while since I've actually looked at that.
1/5
I believe it was 3/5, something like that.
Something
But
like that. But either way,
yeah,
I'm not even looked at as a full
as a
person.
full person,
on
So
me.
but a part of me.
all this stuff, all this stuff that you're doing to me is justified. It's justified because I don't know. I was looking at this documentary today about how they had Negroes in zoos and stuff. They had us in zoos, like looking at us, had us next to monkeys to say that we're the missing link in between monkeys and people through evolution. Black people are the
Like,
missing link.
talk about disrespect.
Huh?
But if anybody is related to a monkey, let's look at y'all's lips and a monkey's lips.
Hey, y'all used to pick lice out of each other's hair and crack it and eat it.
Used to. Who said it's in the past?
Oh my God, y'all still doing it? Yes.
Well, is this a segue?
It's a perfect segue for the discussion.
Let's do it.
It's a perfect segue for the discussion. For discussion, I just do, whatever comes to me at the moment randomly. So I got Wale's song and video, "Sue Me," featuring Kelly Price. So I want
before you go into that, there is like one more small piece I wanted to put to link everything together.
Oh, go ahead.
So I got this from blacknews.com, y'all. It's just kind of putting into practice what we've been talking about with restorative justice. It's about a former inmate who turns a prison experience into a powerful guide for returning citizens, people that are moving from being property of the state to being like put back into society. So I just thought that it was a powerful article of this man who's doing this. He don't look like, quote unquote, a model citizen. You know what I'm saying? So I thought this article was super powerful. If y'all wanted to, y'all could go back and look at it in your own time. But this is a man based in Dallas, Texas. A captivating book from an up and coming author and an ex-con turned business owner takes readers on a journey of self-discovery with lessons and experience he learned while in prison. So, everything to turn what you went through in incarceration or captivity for better terms, because it's a different type of captivity, but to take those lessons that you learned and to kind of utilize those lessons to teach people, how to become a better business owner, how to better themselves. He's an ex-con, so I'm sure there are things he knows the in and outs of a business because he was a con artist. He did that. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to touch on. He used his plight to benefit his community as a whole. So I just thought that was tight. But yes. So we can get into what you're trying to get into.
Sorry, my computer died.
That's all right.
But yeah, no, that's dope. Definitely props to him for, taking the initiatives and the steps, because we need it. We need it. We need it. Absolutely, especially for our, ex-cons and prisoners. They need a second chance at life. And the oppressed American system does not give them that at all. So yeah. But yes. We can segue into the video. It's a perfect segue.
Okay, it's the YouTube one.
Yeah.
Okay. We do not own the rights to this music that we're about to hear.
We do not. And if it's ad, we do not
endorse that.
We do not.
So yes, I need to open this. But just to speak on it, I used to like Wale in the past. I thought Wale was tight. That's just me,
I love Wale. He always has the darkest, blackest female he can find in his videos. He always has just full of melanin everywhere in his videos.
He's real lyrical too.
About it, I love Wale.
He's very lyrical.
Man,
he don't get credit for it.
He's so lyrical, like underrated as hell.
Oh man, I think one of my favorite songs in the past by him was "Girls on Drugs." I just thought that song was a good song because it talked about people wanting to feel numb and stuff and not really dealing with the problems that they got on the inside, which is a lot of times exactly what's going on. It's all about, everything that's been produced as far as like drugs and things like that have all been produced for our destruction rather than our betterment. And that's kind of like the whole crack epidemic and things like that school to prison, not school to prison pipeline, mass incarceration. So yes, let's get into this video. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite videos.
That's interesting.
That was really interesting. I never seen that video before. Okay. So that was.
Well, I want to hear what y'all. I've seen it so many times, so I just want to hear, what y'all seen, what stood out to y'all, how how it made you feel.
I like the reversal of the roles, to be honest. That's the part that I like because it just kind of shows, like, you know, I really have, I don't think that many white people actually watch that video, but it kind of shows that, how like he was removing those people from out of the coffee shop, and he writes like something about like, oh, look at these thugs, whatever, whatever. Like everything, like that's kind of how like it is for us. Like those dudes that were at Starbucks, at a business meeting, they get arrested, just for being there. So now Starbucks has to let people go. It's just like, honestly, like, I don't know. It kind of goes into what G says all the time, and I say it too. But when you will never know what it's like until it happens to you. So but everything is bound to happen. So it is what it is. What you guys have done to me, it's gonna happen to you. What goes around comes around. And karma is let me tell you.
Served on the cold
Mean
platter.
one. She a mean one too. But I definitely agree with everything Tabitha just said. What was interesting and stood out to me was, definitely like the reversal of what she said. But like if you notice in the Starbucks, like even to the cashier and the people sitting around, like they was mostly all black, which like in most cases is the other way around. And then I think the instance where black teens were arrested in Starbucks, I think that was like an actual instance that he just kind of like just switched the roles and like reversed it. So I kind of like what he did with that. And then like when he was meeting with his father or whatever, and he's telling him like, there's laws where you can potentially make an appeal. Like, I can't tell you how many people have been trying to appeal some of their cases in time sentence, and people constantly trying to get that motion passed or whatever. And then it kind of was like you could see like him giving up almost. You feel me? The lack of perseverance. Like he's like, listen, like there's no hope. You feel me? Like we've tried. Like I'm gonna just serve out the rest of this time, and that's the case for a lot of people that look like us, especially like people that's been locked up for crimes in the 80s and 90s, because they just passed down sentences. It was like the max almost every time, especially like cases for marijuana. It's on me, like especially cases for like marijuana. Like there's people that's serving 50 years plus. Like
Violence.
exactly, that's the purpose for me saying it's a non-violent crime. But it was charged as like he was some top conspiracy or drug dealer type person. But nah, that definitely stood out to me. You feel me? The role reversal, and it really pointed to the fact that there's a lot of people out here living the same lives.
And for me, it's the whole video. That was his point in the video, was to show the role reversal, what it would be like if the roles were reversed. And I've seen the video so many times, so every time something different sticks out to me. But like I noticed like the billboards where it said the one about education, something about graduating, not sagging your pants or whatever. At the beginning where he's getting ready in the toothpaste, the people on the toothpaste bottle was black,
The
like
security
and the
guards.
subway, just all the different ads that was displayed. The people were black. The don't avoid the stop and frisk. The lawyer or the cop, whoever was on that billboard, was black or whatever. And it's based in New York, right? And that's where the stop and frisk law was originated or whatever. So it's like, and a lot of black men a lot of black men had to experience this stop and frisk for no reason, just for being black, just for being black. Like I feel like I want to stop and frisk you, so I'm gonna stop and frisk you, and you can't do nothing about it because the law says that I can stop and frisk you.
Suspicion is not a crime, and that's what a lot of people are locked up
Suspicion
for.
is not a crime. Suspicion in my skin color is not a crime. And
Or should
and I really, you
raise
know, I
suspicion.
feel that with what Wale was trying to convey. Our skin tone is not a crime. And you can't base America's entire identity on it. America bases its entire identity on looking to black people as if we're savages and beasts, and we're the threat, as if we're the terrorists, as if we're the ones who came over here and manipulated the natives and massacred them and killed them off and gave them diseases, and as if we're the ones who stole people and brought them to this land and made them slaves, and as if we're the ones, right? That's how America has generated society to view us. And I respect Wale for this. I personally don't think that this video got the recognition that it deserved, because I commend him and respect him so much for this, because it needs to be seen, it needs to be thought about, it needs to be talked about. Like just to ask a white person, just imagine. Tell me, do you think you would even survive walking a mile in my Air Force Ones? You wouldn't.
Man.
You wouldn't.
And I just want to bring out one part of this video that I really love, like the lyrics, because I was looking at the lyrics that you posted, and I love the fact that he was like, "I favor black businesses."
Yes.
Favor wrong, but it's all right. I favor black businesses. And I thought that was tight because a lot of times celebrities, especially, like they go and drop all this money at Louis Vuitton. He says Prada, and I can't pronounce the other one. But they drop all this money at these name brand stores and then completely disregard, black businesses that are struggling. And he says he favors black businesses.
But don't be a black business like Kanye and create clothes with holes in it and clothes that we could be making ourselves at home. Like that's not the type of black businesses we're talking about. I want to be fully clothed, okay? I don't want my shirt and my pants and my underwear and my shoes and everything having holes in it.
He turned struggle. He
struggle clothes
into fashion. Because I know when I was little, if I fell on my knees and got a
hole in my pants,
that was not tight. That was
get made fun of, talked about.
Just to be clear, though, I don't wear jeans anymore, y'all. Just throwing that out there. Got to put that disclaimer out there.
Man, but still, imagine having some stockings on. You fall, you get a rip in your stocking. That's a rip in your stocking is really so embarrassing. Like, guys, y'all really might not know what that's like, but to have a rip in your stocking, like, that's frustrating.
The struggle.
It's so frustrating. And then just in the wrong spot too. Like you can't hide it. You can't even cover it up. Like, wow. So I just got a hole in my stocking. So now I have to get some new stockings.
And me, I used to have pointy nails. I used to do the stiletto style.
Oh, yeah. And that's really good. That's going to poke them right through. Oh.
And it'll just be slowly ripping down. Man. But yes, y'all, that concludes our podcast today. Mark, go ahead and hit us with that.
Absolutely. So yes, as Tabitha was saying, that will conclude our podcast. Just a brief overview. We talked about NBA star Chris Paul partnering with his Black-owned sports agency to launch HBCU Con, which basically gives athletes the platform to attend HBCUs and still receive some of that professional training that those top prospect schools would get. And then we talked about our Black women that built a podcast that builds bridges and not walls. So major networking with our Black people. Then we went over to
justice.
Restorative justice. Yes, indeed. We went over to restorative justice, talked about some of the definitely the cons that we see in our prison system and our justice system per se. You feel me? We should definitely focus more on the rehabilitation aspect of it. And we feel like that fails very often in some of the cases that we see. And then we ended it with our discussion of Wale's song "Sue Me" with featuring Kelly Price. I talked about some of the reversal aspects that it had in it. Very potent, again, very lyrical. Great
Oh,
video
and just real
behind it.
quick, I just want to hit y'all. I just want to hit. He said, "Sue me. I'm rooting for everybody that's black." That's the mindset we have to be on, black people. We have to
Exactly.
be on that mindset. I'm rooting for everybody that's black. All of us who look like I'm rooting for you. I want you to succeed. I want you to be better. I want you to grow. I want you to have a prosperous and successful life. And I don't want you to be a statistic. I don't want you to fall victim to the systematic oppression of America.
As we talk about it, if we not rooting for us, nobody else is. We gotta stand together. But yes, that will conclude our podcast. Please follow us on all of our social platforms. That Malcolm Make a Chess Move, Make a Culture Move, Virtual Artist Storytelling, Pushing Pawns, which I will be doing at 3 o'clock a little later today if you want to come learn some chess. Then we have our Instagram, Macam303. Got our Twitter, Macam303. Follow us on YouTube at Malcolm Make a Chess Move. Be sure to tune into our virtual arts of storytelling. We have it, like I said previously, Tuesday to Thursday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. What happened? Oh yeah, but yes, we have another great lineup of guests, so please tune in for that as well. And with that
This is
being
the
said,
final
y'all
week
Mac 'em out
of
there.
our
Oh, please cop
series.
the merch. I almost forgot. Oh yeah,
But
this is the final week of our series one, so please tap in this week. Cop our merch. Shout out East First, and that will be it. Y'all
love
Mac 'em
That's
out
about
there.
y'all not smart, man. Love on a black person. Love on somebody who look like you.
Make a chess move, y'all.